Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday meditation gathering. So glad you're all here to share this time together. Meditation gathers energy when we meditate together. This week we have Douglas Crawford, who will lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we'll open it up for sharing, and we'll end about 9:45. Over to you, Douglas.
Thank you, Dan, and it's such a pleasure to be with you all and see some old faces that I haven't seen for a while, so thank you. I'm going to read a page of lesson 155, which is, I will step back and let him lead the way. And the reason I'm doing this is it's very relevant in my life right now. And essentially, it's about 3 ways of living in the world. There is a way of living in the world that is not here, although it seems to be. You do not change appearance, though you smile more frequently. Your forehead is serene, your eyes are quiet. And the ones who walk the world as you do recognize their own. Yet those who have not yet perceived the way will recognize you also and believe that you are like them as you were before. The world is an illusion. Those who choose to come to it are seeking for a place where they can be illusions and avoid their own reality. Yet when they find their own reality is even here, then they step back and let it lead the way. What other choice is really theirs to make? To let illusions walk ahead of truth is madness. But to let illusions sink behind the truth and let the truth stand forth as what it is merely sanity. This is the simple choice we make today. The mad illusion will remain a while in evidence for those to look upon who choose to come and have not yet rejoiced to find they were mistaken in their choice. They cannot learn directly from the truth because they have denied that it is so. And so they need a teacher with a capital T, a teacher who perceives their madness, but who still can look beyond illusion to the simple truth in them. And really, here comes the three ways of living in the world that we can choose between. If truth demanded they give up the world, it would appear to them as if it asked the sacrifice of something that is real. And now, the first of the 3. Many have chosen to renounce the world while still believing its reality. They have suffered from a sense of loss and have not been released accordingly. And now the second way. Others have chosen nothing but the world, and they have suffered from a sense of loss still deeper, which they did not understand. And then the third way. Between these paths, there is another road that leads away from loss of every kind. For sacrifice and deprivation both are quickly left behind. This is the way appointed for you now. You walk this path as others walk, nor do you seem to be distinct from them, although you are indeed. Thus can you serve them while you serve yourself, and set their footsteps on the way that God has opened up for you and them through you. Illusion still appears to cling to you, that you may reach them. Yet it has stepped back. And it is not illusion that they hear you speak of, nor illusions that you bring their eyes to look on and their minds to grasp. Nor can the truth which walks ahead of you speak to them through illusion. For the road leads past illusion now, while on the way you call to them that they may follow you. All roads will lead to this one in the end. For sacrifice and deprivation are paths that lead nowhere, choices for defeat, and aims that will remain impossible. All this steps back as truth comes forth in you to lead your brothers from the ways of death and set them on the way to happiness. Their suffering is but illusion, yet they need a guide with a small g. In other words, that's us. They need a guide to lead them out of it, for they mistake illusion for the truth. So that's all I will read of that lesson. So I think we go into meditation now.
Open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have about 19 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand or use the reactions button at the bottom of the screen, and I'll invite you to take yourself off of mute. And if you'd like to ask Douglas a question or a comment with confidentiality, put your message in the chat function at the bottom of the screen, and I'll read it out.
Hi, it's Kirsty here. Thank you very much for that, for reading that out, Douglas, this morning, that lesson. It's absolutely beautiful lesson, and for some reason it's never been one of my go. I mean, I've obviously, because I've done the workbook a few times, I'm obviously familiar with it, but it's never been one of my go-to lessons for some reason. But after you've done that this morning, it's such I really do think it's absolutely a perfect thing for me to have actually looked at today, because there's so many variables you said that it was relevant to you in your life, and in my life as well. There's so many variables at play. There's so many things in my life at the moment which seem to be beyond my control. And it could go this way or it could go that way, and whichever way it goes could have a big effect on my life, but I don't seem to have any power or control over it. It's just such a beautiful lesson that really, really has resonated with me today, Douglas. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Well, I'm so glad that's helpful for you, Kirsty.
Hi, thank you so much for that. That was my lesson a couple of days ago, and yes, and
synchronicity.
So we're both going through the same sort of thing with our houses, and I haven't known whether to. Am I selling it? Aren't I? Am I? Aren't I? And it's been hell making those decisions. And you know, for me to step back and trust, acceptance, whatever way it goes, to accept it. Yes, I will step back and let him lead the way. And this morning, I was awake at 6, and I meditate and read the text. And I was in turmoil about the house. And then as I came downstairs about 8 o'clock, this voice, I've had it once before when I was looking after my parents in Cornwall, and I'd gone to my daughter in Wales about 12 o'clock at night. I was driving back to Cornwall, get to the I was on the M50. I could go M5 north, M5 south. I really wanted to go north, and I felt so lonely. But I went to my parents, and this voice, as beautiful as anything, I can hear it. It said, "You are never alone. We're all one." And I've never forgotten that. And this morning, I'm saying, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." And I was saying that, and the same voice came and said, "I've been with you all the time. You're never alone. I've been there." Trust and acceptance. And I will step back and let him lead the way. That's what I need to do. And that, to be reminded of it again today, is just wonderful. So I know that I'm being looked after. So thank you so much for that lesson. Can I just ask you, at the end it's got, "I will step back and let him lead the way." for I would walk along the road to him. I don't quite get that. If you step back, how is leading the way? So how are you walking towards him? It's at the end, right at the end.
Right at the end.
Yes, I will step back and let him lead the way, for I would walk along the road to him. And I haven't ever, I'm opening up now. I'm not scared of saying whatever I think. I don't quite understand that bit.
I have an insight on that bit if it's helpful. I know it's not me that's going to speak.
Yeah, good. Yes.
Oh yeah, I had an experience with Jesus years ago actually, where I was staying at a retreat center. I was on a spiritual course and on a retreat center, and it was in the middle of nowhere in Somerset, and I was really afraid of walking up the road because it was in the pitch black by myself, and I was sat there, and even though we were in this sort of spiritual ritual, and from the external I looked very calm and centered, like actually inside my mind I was just obsessing and very afraid.
Yeah.
And Jesus came and said, like, you don't have to walk up the road alone. Like, if you want, I'll go with you. And I think it was just what you were saying, just reminded me of that. And I think what it's saying is, like, step back, as in, you know, stop your ego running the show. Like, take your hands off the steering wheel.
Yes.
You know, and then in that stepping back, then we're able actually to go forward. Then we're actually able to render. That's my understanding.
Yes, that's lovely. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to share. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Douglas.
Yeah, I was just thinking in the early part of your share, Linda, was that, I mean, there are different perspectives on what the Holy Spirit does here in the world. I see it more as Kenneth Wapnick's way, where the Holy Spirit is just an abstract presence of love, which is really what you were sharing. And yet, in that presence of love, we will know what to do. And whether it's, you know, you call it your higher self or your guides and teachers or whatever, what I find is that I get most of my clarity, funnily enough, when I'm showering or cycling. And when I get into a shower, which I've decided to do twice a day for whatever reason, I just find it very relaxing. I'm not thinking about anything except just experiencing the water. And I get these ping, oh yeah, now I know what to do about that. Now I know what to do about that. Now, same when I'm cycling, I'm focusing on you know, not thinking, I'm just being in the experience. And then these ideas come. So I don't know if that would help you at all, like with your house. Just switching off the monkey mind.
Yeah. Yes.
And then you'll simply know what to do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Teresa, would you like to share?
Oh, thank you. Douglas, thank you. That was a lovely, lovely reading. And it really reminded me when you talked, the lesson talks about the 3 parts to it. And I think about my brother, who I wouldn't even mention the word spirit to him because it's like, oh, don't go there. And yet I know he's got such a beautiful heart. It's just the words. I wouldn't use certain words. And in my my own experience, I used to be such a amazing fixer. You know, nobody would ask me to fix, but I'd want to fix everything, make everything right. And, you know, and I slowly had to learn, well, I'm not everybody's higher power. I'm not everybody's, you know, everybody has their own. And so what I love about the course is not telling me to fix or do anything. But what I notice in myself is there's this turbulent, like water, turbulent, oh, this is happening, what shall I do? And then when and if I can settle down to this beautiful quiet, constant quiet and constant peace, as you said, when you're in the shower or cycling, it just switches everything off go to that place, and if there's something to be said, like those early prayers in the course, if there is something to be said or done, I'll be guided, but it won't be guided by my frantic wanting to fix ego. So thank you. That was lovely to hear that. It's lovely to see you again.
Likewise, Teresa. Thank you.
Who'd like to share? Okay, I'll jump in here. Every morning, I ask Holy Spirit, what would you have me know today? And I just write whatever comes up, and it's always different. And this morning, I got step back, quiet your mind, and get centered in peace. And it was a whole page of that sort of thing, and it was all about this monkey mind that I have that's always active, and just pause it and step back. And I love the synchronicity that you read that lesson today. It's wonderful.
I wondered where it came from, Dan. You guided me very well. Thank you.
Who would like to share? Dennis, take yourself off of mute.
I once had a very beautiful experience in the 70s, and I came across the being of light, as I call it. And I said, "Where have you been? I've been looking for you all my life." And the answer back was, "I've been here all the time. Where have you been?"
Yeah, good answer.
And when you said, "Oh, step back," and it's beautiful, it says something to me, that part. I would step back and let him lead the way. I thought, I don't know what that means.
I'm glad it
Thank
resonated.
you for your reading.
I'm glad it resonated with you, Dennis.
Who'd like to share? Everyone must have stepped back. Oh, go ahead.
Hello. Hiya. Oh, I'm new to this. So it's my first time. And that was thank you to Teresa who passed on the details to me last week. So thank you, Teresa. It's nice to see you. I'm sharing because I'm listening to Miracle Voices at the moment. To one last night. It was the same one that I continued to listen to this morning because sometimes I fall asleep. So I picked it up again this morning. I had just like a
I'm afraid we're losing you, Samantha.
Wonderful insight into. I think my internet's not very clear, I'm afraid. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, but we didn't hear your insight. So could you say it again?
Oh, I was saying that I had an insight this morning when I listened to Miracle Voices on the podcast into one of my personal relationships. And then we had the meditation just now, and it kind of like continued in there, and it reopened up, and I've come away with something that has been bugging me for quite a few years now. And I think I've finally found the answer to it. And that's really, really amazing actually for me. Just wanted to share that.
Okay, well, I'm glad it was helpful, Samantha.
Thank you.
Jane, would you like to share?
Hi, thank you very much. That was wonderful. I've been, yes, we've been homeless for a while, and we're doing house sitting all over the place, which has been wonderful. And I'm thinking that I've been gifted with all these wonderful cats. But I mean, I don't normally have a cat. I don't have pets. At the moment, I've got this huge cat sitting on my lap, keeping me still, purring, and really helping me to stay in the moment. And it's it feels just like pure love, really. It's just an exchange of pure love between us. Yeah, so that I've been really gifted with that. And also that, yes, we've needed to really step back and trust, because we've done a lot of house hunting and things, but it just hasn't happened. And it's just, thank goodness for the course and for the Holy Spirit. Just, yeah, that there really hasn't been a panic around it. And that's the stepping back and being guided, really, because we truly don't know what's going to happen next. It's more obvious to me now than any other time in my life. Of course, I've really never known what's going to happen next, but I've tried to fix it just the same. But at this moment, at this time in our lives, in my life, yeah, I really feel very guided, because I suppose I'm more open to it in my sort of life circumstance, and through doing the course over the years. Yeah, so thank you very much. That was a wonderful meditation. I really enjoyed that. And the joining, I love joining with everyone in the meditation. That's very powerful for me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jane. Yeah, and I'm also felt being in front of the screen with all of you together, I felt such a powerful presence coming out of the screen, which is very unusual because the screen is really quite toxic. So I really appreciated that. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. Who'd like to share?
I've got one question for Douglas. This is something that something I've never quite understood. I just wanted to know your take on it, Douglas.
Okay.
When you achieve a state of peace, when you do step back and let Holy Spirit lead the way, and you kind of resign as, project manager of your life,
yeah,
and they let God's will be done, do you think the outcome is different? Or do you think the outcome's just the same? It's just that you can handle it a lot better. Do you think that there is a kind of... I'm just wondering what your take is on that.
I think it would be totally different, yeah. Whereas if your ego is leading the way, it could take you into all sorts of situations that could be really uncomfortable. Mind you, Spirit can also take you into very powerful lessons as well, but the end result will be peace, of course.
Okay, thank you, Douglas.
Perhaps I could just briefly share why it's relevant for me, kind of in response to your question. I have, because of the world situation, is we're going through a very powerful transition. And my feeling is that when the truth gets revealed, there's going to be a lot of anger, a lot of fear coming out in the world. And I have felt prompted to gather those that have been working with me over some years to start a new program of people that have done like 4 years on my course. And I mentioned the world situation as the kind of prompt, and a number of them have come back to me and said, oh, you're making the world real. And therefore, I don't think I will like to be on your program. And that's why I thought to look at this particular lesson, because as I understand it, and we teach in order to learn. So I'm teaching this lesson in order that I can really get it. And what I see is that these prompts come from, not from Holy Spirit in my perception. I think Holy Spirit is just presence of love, but we are guided. And my feeling is that I'm being guided to be helpful, right? And what it has brought up for me is a lot of feeling maybe excluded from those that I love, and so on and so forth. And that's why I say Spirit can also take you down a road to give you a very powerful teaching. And I don't know whether me initiating this and focusing on the world situation is just for my lesson, my inner journey, or whether it's to be truly helpful, or some other thing. And even though it feels, I check in on it, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, just carry on despite the reactions. It's been a very powerful process for me, and that's why I was reading this lesson. And I think I'm still in it. I'm still listening to see if this is truly my right-minded decision to do that. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Okay. Take yourself off of mute and show your appreciation to Douglas.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Douglas.
Douglas.
Thank you, Douglas.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Douglas, for sharing.
Lovely to be with you.
Thank you very much.
And I hope to see you all again soon.
See you next